Hey everybody, it is Connie at My Fabric Friends. I'm going to talk a little bit more today about our Guadalupe River Family Quilt Drive. Last time when we did North Carolina, I was in just such a big hurry to just get quilts there. And the first load was not ready for quilts. The second load was very appreciative of the quilts. I even drove some up to another town, and the lady that distributed them sent us pictures. I put some of those on the website at that time. A lot of the people that are receiving the quilts, they really don't want to be videoed. So once you make the quilt and you donate it, we've got to let it go. You know, we just got to let it go. It goes to whomever it goes to, and we have to be happy with that. So I'm thinking, if those of y'all that are out of town want to help and say, how can I help? I can't make a whole quilt. But if you want to participate, I have this block that I'm going to make. It's going to be a poppy block, and it starts out with 6.5 inch squares. Okay, now I would love to make one. I don't have time right now, but I would love to make one out of all 4 colors different. So I may try that once I cut this, and I had an extra piece of this. So when I make the next one, I'll have another extra piece. And I want to see what it looks like when we have 4 different colors instead of all the same color. So 4 6.5 inch squares, excuse me. Then you need 8 3.5 inch squares. Okay, and I marked these on the diagonal. And the only requirement is when you make this block to use white, off-white, tone on tone, so that we can put them in the quilt and they will all look cohesive. And then I need 4 2-inch squares, and I have also marked those on the diagonal. So let me get sewing so I don't go over my time limit on my video here, because it seems like for some reason I lose sound at 34 minutes. So what you're going to do is you're going to put one at the top left-hand corner. Top left-hand corner. So I'm going to sew all 4 of them like that. Then I'm going to grab my next one and just do the same thing. Top left-hand corner. And one good thing about using the tone on tone is that we won't know if we have the right side or the wrong side. And I'm using batik, so I wouldn't know if I had the right side or wrong side of my flower. But I just got a little piece of scrap. It was just actually this might have been a fat quarter in the scrap bin. So I don't suggest cutting them out of fat quarters because I had a lot of waste. There was a lot of waste. So I can use it on my, I can make 2.5 inch squares out of some of it that was left. And I mean, of course, y'all know I'm a scrap addict. So I'm going to use it. But to get the most efficient use of our fabric, I would not cut this out of a fat quarter. But if you have thousands of them laying around and that's what you want to do, go for it. It'll work. And I just wanted to, I always like to try to get the least amount of waste when I'm working on a quilt. So if you cut 6.5 inch strips off of something, you know, you have a piece of fabric and you can let a 6.5 inch strip go, you know, then you're good. Okay, now one other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to come back on, this is just an extra thing, okay? It's nothing to do with the block, okay? But I'm going to come back and I'm going to sew me a 1/4 inch seam away from this seam. Is it, or do I want a 1/2 inch? Let's see. So I wanted to come over here and sew about a 1/2 inch. Let's see, so a 1/2 inch. I'm just going to make up some kind of thing right here. And then I'm going to have me a little triangle right here. My little 1/2 square triangle. So I'm just going to sew those while I'm going so I'm not wasting, and maybe, who knows, we'll get enough for a border, we'll get enough for another block. But when I get finished, I'm going to just cut this in half equally. You know, just wherever my seam is, I'm just going to use half and half. Because I didn't really measure, I just moved my needle all the way to my right position. So when I'm sewing it, I'm moving my needle all the way to the left position. And when I'm doing this side, I'm going to move it all the way to the right. I'm going to see how much space I get in between there. It'd be really cool if it was a 1/2 inch, and I happen to have a little 1/2 inch ruler right here, so we could check it. Then that would mean I would have 1/4 inch seams. You know, it's not a 1/2 inch, it's probably 1/8 of an inch short, but it's really, it's close. It's really close. I can't see the seam line because yeah, it's like really close. So I won't have like short seams or anything like that. You know, my seams won't be super skinny. So I'll have plenty of room to hold the quilt together. So then I'm gonna cut those apart. And then I'm just gonna grab my scissors right here, and I should get a bigger pair, but since I don't have a bigger pair, I'm just gonna cut this up because I love these little, I think these are Karen Buck. I don't know whose scissors these are, but they are little bitty sharp boogers, let me tell you. So I'm not cutting real straight, but you know, uh-oh, look what I did. I sewed it to my block. Oh my gosh. Connie. Okay. So I don't know if y'all watched my video last night with my black and white quilt, but if you did, I think I'm starting off on the same thing. So what I have done is my 6.5 inch block was folded in half, and I did not catch that. So I have to just rip that out real quick. And as y'all know, since I am an expert ripper, that will just take no time whatsoever. Just give me a little piece to get started right here. And there's one. And give me a little start. And you know, y'all that ask me how do I rip like this, it's the ripper. Not I may be the ripper. What am I, the ripette? I'm the rippy. I'm the rippy. It is the ripper that is so sharp, and we do have these in the store. But that's all I use. I don't even buy any other rippers, period, to put in the store anymore. We might have some that are from that we've had, but if I'm sewing and in the store now, we are only carrying those rippers. Okay, so let's do this again and put it where it goes with it being open. And some of y'all may have caught that. I didn't catch it. So, you know what? Since I have lines here, I'm going to go ahead and sew this line. Nope. Wait, how do I do that? Okay, no, I can't do that yet. I got to... So it's on... Oh, I'm just going to... Let me just move my needle. Sorry, I'm getting a little... You know, I get a little diagonally challenged. So I'm going to put my needle back where it goes. And I am going to sew on the line. Yeah, I think after my name, I need to put Connie Courts DC. And they're going to say, what is that DC for? Diagonally challenged. Okay, so now I'm going to bring it, and I'm going to move my needle back all the way over. And we'll go do that. Okay, and it goes all the way to a 7, so... Yeah, you know, sometimes with me, there is no telling what's going to happen in things that I do. And I hope y'all don't mind when I share that. Y'all don't lose faith in me when I make those mistakes, you know, because I always make them right. Even if I'm quilting your quilt and I make a mistake, I will always make it right. Even if it means I have to rip out the whole quilt. Because there have been two times, mind you, that I put the wrong design on a quilt for a lady. The same lady. Oh my gosh. So I will always rip. We have other people that volunteer to help me rip. Okay, so now I have them all on that side. Let's see. There, 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 and there. So now I come back and I do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so I'm gonna now position them there and start sewing them. Move my needle back. Press your foot down. So we're doing a scrap fest challenge, and it is a lot of these corners like this. And Carolyn calls them flippy corners. We have done, I feel like, hundreds of flippy corners, or we're going to have done hundreds. I feel like I've already done hundreds because I've had to sew my blocks numerous times, because just what I do, you know. So I don't know what anybody else calls these, but I'm going to use her terminology, so I'm going to start calling them flippy corners. Snowballing is, I think, the actual term is what people use, but I like flippy corners better. So we're going to make flippy corners because we don't get much snow down here in South Texas. And even, you know, you can think about the snow, and it can be cold in your brain thinking that, oh my God, it's so cool, I'm thinking of the snow. You know what? It's still hot. It's still hot here, so I don't want to think about the snow. I don't get to have the snow. I love the snow. I used to love snow skiing. Hubby and I used to drive up to Ruidoso sometimes twice a month to go snow skiing. Those were the days. Those were the days. I'd still do it if I could. I mean, if he took me, if he says, hey, Connie, first snowfall, you want to go? I'm in. I'm taking off, girls. Girls, I'm leaving. I'm going snow skiing. I may have broken bones when I get back. But, you know, y'all, those of y'all that do not know me, I've had 3 neck surgeries, okay? So I have learned from the first neck surgery, just don't fall down. If you don't fall down, you don't keep hurting yourself. So I don't ski crazy, and it's too hard to get back up. So I have to be careful when I do crazy stuff like that. Okay, so now I'm going to take and go do the other side. I'm going to go and make my little half square triangles, and they're so cute. Look at them. Let me show you when it's doing that. So I'm going to have a whole bunch of these. I'm going to have 8 of these when I get finished. Oh, and if it tells me check my upper thread, I'm out of what is going on. I don't want to check my upper thread. See if it does it again. Okay, but it said check upper thread. This machine talks to me. What doesn't talk to me? It digitally lets me know what's going on. Okay. So, and Lord knows you can make a ton of things out of half square triangles. And I used to be anti-triangle girl. I mean, literally, that was my nickname. But with the block lock, oh my gosh, changed my life. Changed my quilting life. Some people use the strip tube ruler. I've never used that. I'm not even going to try it. I guess I should as a store owner to give it a fair chance. But, you know, once I like something, I like it. So if you like the strip tube ruler, you know, tell me in a message later why. You know, why do you like the strip tube ruler over the block lock? I know some people tell me, oh, I can't get the block lock centered right. Well, if you iron your seams to the correct way, if it's not working, check your seam. You have your seam going the wrong way. So if you're doing a light and a dark square, your block lock name on that ruler should go to the light square. You know, position that block lock on the light fabric, if I'm remembering correctly. I usually have to go give me a little refresher course every time I want to sew, or what do you call it, square up blocks. And we're fixing to kick off a not a scrap, but a exploding heart challenge, and it's all half square triangles basically. So I will need to go give me a refresher course. So I'm just going to finger press these. I don't even have my iron turned on. I'm not going to turn it on for this because this is just a sample, and I'm sure when I get it done it will be just perfect. Not just perfect. I don't care about perfection. It'll be just fine. So I've got my 2 squares at the top. Now I'm going to position my flower center, and I'm using yellow. You can use any color you want on these. And I'm going to scooch that back that way. I'm going to make little half square triangles out of these too. See how little they are. Out of at least one. And then somebody else is going to say, how did you make those little half square triangles? And I'm going to say, well, you know, One day I was sewing a block and I thought, my goodness, wouldn't those be cute? Because I love little blocks. I love them tiny, tiny, tiny. I would like to make miniature quilts, but I don't have time for my life in my lifetime this lifetime. Maybe in my next lifetime I'll start quilting sooner. Because I didn't start quilting until I was like 50. How old was I? 57 when I started quilting, and it's been 5 years, so nope, it's gonna be almost 6 because I just turned 63 not too many months ago, or not 2 months ago or so. So yeah, not a stitch to my name before that, girls. So there's hope for everybody. Hope for everybody. Okay, so I'm gonna cut these apart. And then I'm gonna just come back real quick and just sew. I'm just gonna sew one. I'm just gonna sew one. Maybe. I might sew all 3. I'm gonna sew all 3. What the heck? It's not gonna take me that long. Okay, not gonna take me that long. Okay, let's scooch that up. Okay, so 1, 2, and when I do that exploding challenge, I'm going to do the mini quilt because I've already done 3 exploding hearts. They are not as hard. Once you make one, you're going to think, why was I so intimidated? Because I was. I'm like, I am never going to, I love that quilt, never going to make it. I have 3 under my belt. And y'all know I don't get to sew very much, so when I do get to sew, and I sew the same quilt 3 times, you know I really liked it. Okay, so let's cut these apart, and then cut these apart. Put that guy over there. Okay, I don't know how I'm doing on time. I hope I'm not getting too close to my... Time flies. Flies, flies, flies. Okay, so let me show you my little half square triangle. Okay, I couldn't get my fingers through it. Look how cute. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, let's see what size it is. It is a 1.25 inches. It measures 1.25 inches. So I'll trim those down to 1 inch. So I'm gonna have some 1 inch half square triangles. Okay, so basically now all I got to do is put the block together, and it's a 4-patch, just a simple old 4-patch now. You know, every block, every quilt, no matter how intimidating, can be broken down into pieces. And once it's in pieces, and you break it down to, you know, to its first element, your second part, your third part, you know, then you're gonna just do great. So I'm gonna position it here like that and like this. Okay, so I'm gonna sew my first 2 together, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna nest these seams. So one of my yellows is gonna go down and one of my yellows is gonna go up. Let me scooch these over here. So I'm gonna have to just put that down and then lay that down. Yeah, and it probably would help if they were pressed, but they're not pressed. So, okay, so line that up, line it up there, and I'm just going to sew along that line. And I got to move this back to the right place to get a 1/4 inch seam, or else I won't have a 1/4 inch seam. And then right when I get to where those 2 things join, I'm going to lift it up like right now, and I'm going to just check one more time. And I'm going to hold my finger on it. And sometimes I'll even use a stiletto. I'll even have a little stiletto holding me right there. So that is a shop phone. So I did turn my cell phone off, but I can't turn the shop phone off. So don't worry about it because it's Sunday, I think. I don't know. I've been working so many days, I don't even know. It's Sunday. It's Sunday. Yeah. Okay, so I have that part. So I'll set it there. Then I'm gonna come get my bottom half or top half, whichever way I decide to lay it. Okay, so I'm gonna put these on, and I'm gonna put one direction and one the other, so they nest together nicely. And then I will line my tops up. Got my top lined up. And if you need to pin it, pin it. Don't worry about what I'm doing as far as, you know, my skills, because, you know, I'm okay with what I'm doing. But if you want to pin, please pin. If I was making this, this block may go in a quilt. But if I was at home sewing, I may pin these, because I'm going to take a little more time, and I'm going to, you know, enjoy the sewing process. And I'm enjoying the sewing process right now. I just know that, like right now, I got a lot of things to do when I get off this video. So I am rushing a little bit, but it'll give you a general idea. And then at the end of this, we will talk about the size of the quilts that we're going to be making, which we could talk about that now. Okay, so the size of the quilts that I want to make are going to be twin size, okay? So if we have 35 of these blocks per quilt, so you guys out there, y'all can make, you know, 5, 10 blocks, make 15 of them if you want, make 5, whatever, 10, whatever. That's what I just said, 5, 10, 15. However many blocks you want to make. So I'm nesting up my seam in the middle, and here I am going to pin it because it's a little bit longer of a seam. So I am going to go ahead and grab my pin, and I'm going to go ahead and pin that. And these pins are so dull. I need to get my good pins are probably on the other table. And then I'm going to line my edges up, and I'm just going to come sew down. And it should, I mean, it should be pretty good, you know. Yeah. So on the size, I would like to do, oh, my needle came unthreaded. Okay, so I would like to do quilts that are at least twin size, at least twin size. I don't feel like we need baby quilts and things like that for this one. So if you want to do twin, and I'm saying 5 blocks across, 7 blocks down. So however many blocks you want to make, and you just you know, donate them to our cause. Send them in the mail to my fabric friends at 105 Cozy Circle. Connie's got to be able to thread this needle. Put my finger back there. I can't see the hole. Hold on just a sec. I got to think. And when I got to think when I thread the needle, I got to have my tongue in just the right spot. Like, Okay. So, I figure, and that will give us a quilt 60 by 84. 60 by 84. So if we feel like we need it any bigger, hey, we can always add a border. We can always do other things, you know, to make it bigger. I think 60 by 84 is fine. So then when we quilt them, we can sort of cheat a little bit. We can put them on our quilt machines sideways, so that we only have to quilt 60 inches, you know, and not have to keep rolling and rolling and rolling and roll. How's it go? Rolling, 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 you know. A lot of times on an 84-inch quilt, you know, you load them and you have to do like 7, 8, 9 rows. But on these types, you know, we can use a pattern that looks good either way, and we can quilt 5 rows, you know, of 12-inch patterns going across the long arm. So let's see how I did. And then I have a really big surprise. Not a big surprise. Anyway, so here's my poppy block. So I feel like if we can get a bunch of these in, you know, we don't have to put them block to block to block. We can put like the next one down here. You know, we could cut this block. It could be cut in half and just on the edge when we get to that way. So they don't have to be, you know, it's not going to just be all, it doesn't have to be all symmetrical. Okay. But I also was going to tell you, if you want to contribute to our fund, I have a $20 gift card on the website called Guadalupe River Fund that you can go in, and if you want to contribute $20, buy one card. If you want to contribute, you know, $40 to, you know the math. So that'll help you do the contributions, because people have been asking me how do they contribute to help pay for our batting and backing. Also, anything that you buy local or long distance, I will ship it to you. That is for this project specifically, and I'll be checking up that you send these quilts back. I'm going to give you 40% off. I don't want to make any money off of this project, okay? But I do have to make enough to pay my employees for what they're doing to get all these products on the website. So I'm going to do 40% off. So you come in and you talk to Penny or you talk to Susan and you say, okay, I want to buy this for the Hugs project, and we are going to write your name down and we're going to expect that quilt back, because I don't want to be taken advantage of on those 40% discounts, and I know you guys wouldn't do that. So, and I want it to be fair for everybody to be able to participate in this. So I feel like that's about the best I can do. And hopefully if you decide to contribute by gift cards, that will really help us with our backing. And on the backing, I am not going to charge my company full percent. You know, I'm going to sell the backing basically in a way to myself at a 40% discount. So we won't be making money off of this project, just so that you know. It's not my intention, never my intention. But you know, we just got to get out there and do something. We got to, you know, we have the ability to make a difference. And this is what we do, and this is how we can make a difference. So thank you for watching. I will put a little picture I took of the different sizes that you need to cut, and hope to get some of these blocks in the mail. Y'all surprised me. I'd really love that. Thank you guys. Bye.